Everyone, welcome back to Gunfire Reborn, and after posting the last video talking about Alibi and weapon runs and high levels of difficulty in this game, I got a couple of comments saying that they liked this sort of information. Watching me do a run from start to finish apparently is what the people want, and I am more than willing to do that. I love this game. I love playing it. I got this comment from one person saying that they like the Crown Prince. They heard me say that they're strong, but they struggle a lot with them. So if you have not already heard the news, the Crown Prince has an amazing kit for beating reincarnation on any difficulty, as long as you are willing to play with a very specific setup. So I'm going to throw on all my favorite Bizarre modifiers. We're going to grab the prince, and I'm going to explain exactly how this works. But before I do that, let me remind you all that this is my VOD and guides channel. I do have another channel named Eotidiss Games. If you want to see me do some like highly edited videos over there with like some gameplay or video essay style content, I've separated those out because I feel like they kind of don't mix here. And I would appreciate you all giving a like and follow, subscribe, and commenting over on those videos as well. Okay, with that out of the way, let's jump into this. So why is the Crown Prince really strong? Well, first of all, when you look at his ascensions, he's got a lot of things that deal with elements. This entire element tree over here is amazing to begin with. Just because there's so many weapons in the game that deal with elements, and his grenade is already an elemental weapon too. So you can get things like increased damage dealt to enemies under elemental effect. Your weapon doesn't even need to have an element. As long as you throw that grenade down, they'll be hit with that. But the important thing for what we're going to do today is right here. Smoke grenade has an elemental effect chance of 100%. Which means every time someone gets hit from a grenade, they will get put in decay, no matter what. And we're going to take advantage of that with a fun little thing we call Painkiller. When inflicting an elemental effect to the enemy, there's a 100% chance to inflict all elemental effects with a 2-second cooldown and convert all negative elemental effects applied to the hero to bonuses with the opposite effects. That's a lot, but basically, since we're going to have a 100% chance to inflict decay, every time we hit something with a grenade, it's going to do decay, burning, and shock. And because we are having multiple elemental effects on, that means we're going to get the fusion effects too. So we're going to have the combination of fire and lightning, which is manipulation, causing enemies to shoot each other. We're going to have fire and decay, which is going to cause combustion, which does a big spike of damage and knocks enemies back and interrupts their attacks. And last, the combination of decay and shock, which is miasma, that does a damage over time that does percentage health. And if that wasn't enough, we're also not going to be affected by burn, shock, or decay ourselves. And instead, if we would have been affected by them, we get the opposite effect instead. So instead of burning, we'll get healed. Instead of shock, we get damage reduction. And instead of a move speed down with decay, we will get a move speed increase. So we're going to take Painkiller. We're going to be on Reincarnation level 10. We're going to be on player 4 for Lone Wolf. And let's jump into this. We're also on season 7. If anyone's watching from the future or you don't have seasonal content, we are going to be playing with the season. And as for our first blessing, there are 2 ways you can go about this. Painkiller is already really good. So if you were to get something like Endless Assault, you would make sure that you never run out of secondary uses. It just basically generates secondaries for you constantly, and you'll never run out. But what we're going to do on this run is take a little gamble that we might sometimes run out of secondary uses. We might run out of grenades, and instead take Smog Bound Zone, a 40% effective range for the grenade, which means it's going to be a bigger circle, plus 5 seconds of duration, which basically means we're doubling the time that it's out, because I do believe it's out for 5 seconds standard. and 20% damage resistance when you or your teammate is in the area of the smoke grenade, plus 50% elemental damage taken, and 100% elemental effect chance of enemies when they are in the area of the smoke grenade. Now, obviously, with Painkiller, the last part doesn't matter as much. If we didn't have Painkiller, then, you know, it would still be pretty good, but we wouldn't be getting the bonuses of all the other elementals along with it. But that extra 50% elemental damage taken is a killer. So we're going to take that, and we're going to hope that if we run into any problems with running out of secondaries, that it's going to be shored up by our energy from the runes. Our weapon doesn't really matter. I guess I'll take the Storm Chaser just for the movement speed bonus. And what we're going to do is simply run through here, throwing grenades down, and having it kill everything. Simple as. For the most effective use of this, you should know where enemies are going to spawn in. So if I put that here, and then those enemies spawn in, and then the enemies over here spawn in, the grenades will just sort of take care of it for us. The last thing we want is to run out of grenades. So the best thing is to be as effective with their use as possible. Since we are a cat throwing poison, why don't we shapeshift to a nature cat form? That seems a little bit on brand. Look at the size of that. The effective range of the grenade is so wide that I threw it down here and it hit enemies all the way back in this corner. We don't even have to like stare them down or anything. You could just sort of let this take care of itself if you need to. Plus the enemies are manipulated, so they will fight each other. Notice how they keep getting knocked back? That's from the combustion. Every time I know there's like so many symbols popping up whenever enemies are getting ticked with damage right now. But you should see one that looks like a little explosion thing. That's just showing you that you got the combustion combination. At this point, I'll take the capacity, because I don't think we really need to worry about damage for quite a while. The benefit of this run is not only is it incredibly survivable because of the manipulation effect, but also, I mean, look at this damage. I threw down one grenade and it cleared the entire room. Granted, I know pretty much the best place to throw them down because I know where enemies are going to spawn and where they're going to pass through. But the general idea is once you have Smogbound and Painkiller, you can throw a grenade down and then try to spawn in all the enemies and lead them into it. Again, the worst thing you could do is run out of grenades. As long as you haven't run out of grenades, you're fine. And look, you can go around, you can pop vases. And like I said at the start, instead of Smogbound Zone, you could take Endless Assault, which doubles your secondary capacity and constantly generates more in. It's not going to be as immediately strong as this, as far as like time to kill. But considering the manipulation effect and all of the fusion effects going on, at least from Act 1 into Act 2, it's not like that big of a deal. I'm just going to throw that straight in here. We're going to run right to the back. Enemies are going to start spawning in back here. I'm going to throw you down there. And there we go. The whole room is clear. Obviously, the only thing we're really looking for on here are specifically grenade upgrades. I don't know why I got tongue-tied on that. And some of the elemental stuff. Obviously, the orb things don't really matter. You can throw out an orb, especially since we're going to be building skill damage, so it's not like it's a bad thing. In this case, I'm going to take the smoke grenade specific thing. I'll come back to the elemental stuff. But it's not a bad idea to just take the bonus corrosion damage. What is a trap is taking the upgrade to lightning or fire damage with this setup, because you're not actually doing lightning or fire damage. Even though you're doing shock and burning, you're still only doing corrosion damage with the grenades. Alright, do weapons really matter? No. If we see an armillary sash, we'll take the armillary sash, but outside of that, it doesn't really matter. And honestly, I don't think I even want to take brief respite for the Soul Ferryman, because I don't think we're going to go down. Did I just roll back into it again? That is crazy. Alright, so we're going to throw grenades down on either entrances here. We already got our skill trainer thing done. I'm down to 2 grenades, but look at all of the ones on the ground here. We've got them spawning on either side again. Truly and honestly, it is a bit of a knowledge test to just know where enemies are going to be spawning in and place it down in front of them. It does have a pretty wide radius, so even these flyers are getting messed up by them. We're down to 3. Could break a couple jars here. See, look, I threw it down here and it killed the guy up top. Or at least it was damaging him. Hey, you. Sir? Wow. I don't want to use another grenade. Thank you. Let me get my speed back. Alright, 1 in the middle. We're down to 1 grenade. Who's left up there? We got this guy. I'm gonna lead everyone over here. See how they're fighting each other for me? It's brilliant. Okay, we didn't run out. It got a little dicey there, but at no point was I really in fear of dying. Take a woodpecker. Apparently my aim's entirely off today, so we won't worry about that. Enemies affected by grenades explode. They are already kind of doing that, but I also would want to get this for lethal smog. Because that does make it trigger far more often. Well, let's play it safe. We already almost ran out of grenades once. So let's just take the upgrade there, not worry about it too much. And if we can find the capacity regenerator, then we'll take that. Secondary skill damage itself, pretty nice. Capacity, we'll lock that one in, but we're still looking for regeneration. Oh my gosh, it has to be here somewhere, right? Spirit Tide? No, it's not. We could, this one would make it a bigger radius, which also helps out a lot. The fair trade, we could expend some money to get back our uses, but I'm just going to take the capacity up for now. And since I took one of these wide boys, if we can get one that points at either side or a V shape, that'd be really cool. Or we could just get a 4. Holy cow. Yeah, like that wouldn't... That's immediately synergistic, but like, can I really say no to a 4? I don't want the game getting upset with me and thinking that I don't appreciate it giving me a 4. So we're gonna take that one. You gotta have a little bit of superstition in your roguelike games, otherwise why are you doing it, man? So, stone rooms. If you didn't know, these guys only wake up if you hit them with weapon damage. If you hit them with ability damage, they don't wake up. So when you're doing a skill run, these rooms are super easy. I mean, we're already on an easy run, don't get me wrong. Alright, we got boys spawning in back there. We're gonna block that choke point off. And then I think you're the last 2 over here. Can I get both of you in one? Not if you run away. Come here. Easy peasy. Though I feel like if you're doing a weapon run, you can kind of just blaze through all of this. It's not really a big deal. So Intimidating Presence is basically worthless to us. Not only is Traditional Tactic not going to do anything, but we're already putting Manipulation Effect on everything. Let's go ahead and get Fight for Immortality, not only because, you know, the only thing I'm really concerned about right now is survivability. Our damage is okay. But in the future, it could give us even more with the Spirit Link for it. heavily armored and get that extra shield and armor. Would be really nice. Alright, Blade Storm. We got 7 grenades right now. I'm just trying to rush through the room so that I get as many spawns as possible with as few grenades as possible. If I went really slow and took my time, it would take even more grenades to clear this place out. And since everything's a manipulation effect, it's really not that scary. Like, you'd be worried about things shooting you constantly, but just by throwing that down and then walking away, it's fire and forget, basically. Oh, let's go ahead and grab a sword. Actually, I was already holding a... There we go. Do I move faster? Yeah, I definitely move faster with the Storm Chaser. The only thing I'm using my weapon for right now is movement speed. Hey, who's left over here? Get with the program, man. You're supposed to be dead. Should I be doubling up on melee weapons? No. The Prince has more shield than armor, and on top of that, he has a built-in ability that when you throw grenades, you get temporary shield. So with him, I tend to build shield stuff more often. It's not to say that you can't do otherwise, but that's just how I do it. Holy cow, I did not expect that to trigger on him. Alright, let's get one of these in the back on either side here. There we go. And we've got 18 capacity on our grenades now. You can see everything's just sort of taking care of itself. And there's an armillary sash. Alright, come here. So the armillary sash with Painkiller is disgusting. Let me come up here and grab my goblet, and I'll go into that explanation while I go through the vault. More capacity and recover capacity. Cool, that should cover all of our bases, and we shouldn't have to worry about capacity anymore. I might still take a regen thing. Now, what was I saying about this? Well, the armillary sash works like this. You shoot a shot and it chains up to 3 enemies. On hit, they gain a ping, and on an elemental effect, they get 2 pings up to a max of 8. And when you right-click, you detonate the pings for a lot of damage. However, notice it says on elemental effect, you get 2 pings. And whenever we do 1 elemental effect, we do 3. So every time we throw a grenade and it hits an enemy, they're immediately going to go up to 6 stacks. And on the next tick of the grenade, they're going to be at max stacks of 8. So the armillary sash, and look, we're also going to get extra weapon damage versus decay effect. Just by holding on to this bad boy, you will see a bunch of things. Now, it's not the weapon that has to do it. Look, them hitting my grenades puts it on them, and then I can bust. So we're gonna throw our grenades out here, and if anything survives more than 1 hit, we just give them a right click, like that. Boom. Throw down another one there, and another one there. We're just stopping them at their spawn, if we can. I feel like that grenade's gonna die out, so let's re-up it. Wow, you survived. Sniper sniping. Could have perked to this. But I wanna play this a lot like the dog. For those of you that didn't watch that video, you should probably go back and watch that. I played an Albi weapon damage build using his life power. But part of that was just to show that you can do build setups on Reincarnation level 10 Lone Wolf 4 that doesn't feel awful. Oh cool, Lightning Enthusiast. That's part of Elemental Enthusiast. And this one, as far as like various builds of ranging quality, I would say, well, that's just not fair. this is one of the easier ones. Now, the problem with it, more than anything else, is running into elites and bosses, because you don't get the manipulation effect and you do have to wait for miasma. That doesn't mean it's still going to be rough at all. Don't get it twisted. It's still going to be pretty easy, but you don't have the manipulation, so it doesn't help as much. And none of these are super helpful. These are all weapon based. This one increased weapon and skill damage with movement speed, but we really don't need anything else here. We can get rid of some of our Orby related stuff, so we can get rid of that. And again, I don't really need a weapon. We got the armillary sash, which is fine, so flowing one's cool. Alright, before the fight even starts, I'm going to huck a grenade so it lands right as the fight starts. We are playing on Reincarnation level 10, so his lasers do come out very fast, and you can see he's immediately going back up to max stacks. And there we go. Not bad at all. Extra damage to enemies affected by elemental effect. Notice that doesn't say weapon damage and it doesn't say skill damage. It's just total damage to enemies affected by any elemental effect. So this goes from a 300 to a 400. This is a 30%. You would think this is better, but this is actually a separate multiplier from this. And you want to try to get as many different multipliers as possible. So I'm actually going to grab Elemental Rage on this one. Even though a 100% increase for the grenade damage wouldn't be bad by any means. I'm stuck in the hole. But try to get as many different multipliers, and we're going to hopefully see that soon here by me getting either Corrosion Mastery or something else. I'm going to lock that in. Restore is the other one, but I think at this point, like I said, I feel like we're fine on the capacity. We'll be passively getting them just from breaking things and killing enemies, so that's fine. We're going to hope for another Elemental Mastery one, but not this one particularly. Okay, we'll take it anyway. And as I've said before, I really like it when they're all clustered up very close. I don't really like this configuration with the most powerful one on the back end, so I'm going to re-roll that. This is the kind of setup I really like, where everything's sort of snug and close in. That way you're not forced to put it in the corner and then possibly have a dead spot on the side. 14 though? Do we give up a little bit of this value for that? I mean, far be it from me to say no to a 14, you know? Let's empty this out and drop it in. The Elemental Corrosion Mastery, it's... if you didn't have a primary or secondary that has an element on it, these are actually incredible. Do not diminish the usefulness of this, because you're adding an entire other multiplier onto your damage. Normally, when you're doing a skill-based run, you can only get damage increases from primary or secondary, depending on which one you're doing, skill damage in general, and then total damage. Those are like the three things you can do. But with this style rune, where you can make it into an elemental effect, you now have added on an elemental multiplier. So be careful about like ditching those, because they could be very useful. Now, I feel like we're doing okay here. The 160% corrosion damage, do I care about that more than possibly just getting outright damage down here? I think so. I think we're cool on that. And let's move forward. Interdependent Fortunes time. What are we looking for? Movement speed's great. Another curse wouldn't be too bad. We're hopefully going to end up with Evil Devouring Sword at some point. I feel like I get it almost every single run. But movement speed is nice. If I'm running around with the Armillary Sash out instead of the Storm Chaser, then it'd be nice. I don't want enemies getting damage resistance. I think I'll just take the Curiosity box. Elemental power is amazing. And this says, look at this, When affected by elemental effect, there's a 50% chance to spread that elemental effect to the player. This is actually useful for us because we have Painkiller, which gives us the inverted version of whatever would have affected us. So it's a win-win for the player here. We'll definitely take that. And then Elemental Convergence, release a random elemental effect for each elemental effect taken. We could probably deal with that, that's fine. Ignition Device activated. 20% elemental effect chance every time you deal weapon damage while not inflicting elemental effect chance. We're not doing that. Skill Freak. Oh my gosh, scripted run. So there's a chance for the secondary to deal extra damage now. Scripted run. What you don't know is that before I started recording, I tried doing like 12 runs, and this is the one that's gonna get uploaded. I'm joking, but at some point it feels like I get really lucky in this game. Maybe that's what my guide should be. My guide should just be telling you to be more lucky in a roguelike game. Alright, throw this here, and then enemies always spawn in the very back corner over there. So if you can throw one down fast enough, then you can sort of keep this room from getting out of control. Hello. Replace inscriptions, level, no. I don't care about my weapon at all. The only time I'll start to care about my weapon on this run is if we get the spiritual blessing for armed caster. And I would say the likelihood of that happening is pretty low, but considering we just got something that synergizes with this run really well, maybe I shouldn't say that. Alright, a bunch of enemies spawn behind this pillar. You can pop them like that. There we go, and then the boss spawns here. This is the time I'll use the orb just to hold a minute. I'm just gonna spam right-click. Just as soon as those stacks come on, I'm just gonna pop them again. No reason not to. Like, you can let them build up for a bigger boom. But as far as I'm aware, it's all the same damage anyway. Cool. We'll take an even better one. We'll take the corrosion damage this time. Wait, did I not take that last time? Wait, what did I do? Wait a second. Oh no, I took elemental rage, right. We got a little total damage multiplier. Now we got an elemental damage multiplier. Take it all. Yeah, we'll do take it all. When you're not doing a weapon run, there's not a lot that the peculiar chest can do for you. A lot of peculiar chests benefits are for weapons, either raising levels, changing inscriptions, stuff like that. Alright, almost all the enemies spawn in over there. So we're just gonna throw grenades in that general direction. And look, the elite is constantly getting stacks put back on him. We just spam our right click and everything's fine. None of these are brilliant. I guess the energy orb can have an elemental effect to it. Cloud Edge with lightning. And our tablet. What are we gonna get this time? Secondary skill damage. We can lock that in. We can start doing movement speed related stuff too, because a large portion of surviving in this game is just being able to move around. Oh, there we go. Elemental damage. Never mind. We're gonna take that. Another 4? Can I handle a diagonal? I guess the diagonal could go down here and hit that for the 6. Like that. Boom. We still haven't gotten a general runic energy on this run. That's a little unfortunate. I feel like by now I'd at least have one. I think I mentioned that in the dog video too, where it's like feast or famine with that. Sometimes it feels like you get super loaded up with them, and other times, like this one, you don't see them at all. Alright, enemies like to spawn in around this wall. Oh. Well, they must have already. Crane chant, no. Oh, peddler's hiding in the corner. Hey, buddy. What you got? Brutal gloves? Well, look at that. Non-crit hits, that's all we do. We don't crit at all. Another artillery slash. After 3 shots, the next one chain limit. Guaranteed to trigger elemental effect. Well, I mean, sure. I don't think it really matters. I could also put another storm chaser in my back pocket. Why not? Why not? Also, if you're a little annoyed that I'm not recycling everything on the ground and you're like, Eoti, you're leaving money on the ground, go back and recycle it. Everything is automatically recycled when you swap levels. You don't have to actually manually recycle everything on the ground. What did I end up with? Sabotage, old boots. Mistaken delivery might be a little annoying, but it's fine. We might end up with a different scroll than we wanted, but we won't cry about it. We do have Take It All right now, so it could end up being bad. I should probably swap back to this. I like movement speed. I like being able to shmoo. So you'll have to forgive me if I frequently trade out damage for just going wow. Get me up here. Platforming challenge. Which one? Boulders. See, this is a benefit to holding on to a melee weapon. Ouch. Need to move through this really quickly. Search for a scroll? Hidden treasure? I don't think we need a lot of money. Don't we have riches privileges, though? No. We don't have riches privileges. Stable supply? Okay. Peddler always having scrolls is nice. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but whenever you're doing a skill damage run, one of the biggest limiters for your run is what scrolls you get along the way. Because ideally you'll get all of the ascensions that you want. You can't get RNG fucked on that. There's nothing you could really do about that. But with weapon runs, you can always reliably upgrade your weapon at every craftsman. As long as you have some amount of money, you can get more levels and raise the base damage. With a skill run, you don't have such a guarantee. There's some ways that you can do it, like obviously once you get a scroll like Extravagant Consumption, then for the rest of the run it doesn't really matter what other things you get. You're always going to be getting increases just from getting and losing gold. Some guys are going to spawn in here eventually. Oh, it already went down before they got here. General energy, there we go. All right, we can bump something up. Give me that 10. 200% corrosion damage. So, here's another separation of our multipliers. We have skill damage, secondary damage, total damage, elemental damage, and corrosion damage. So we have this as a separate multiplier. The elemental damage is separate from the corrosion damage. So we have multiple multipliers affecting our stuff right now. And we want to get all of them up decently. You don't want to go too hard on any one thing or else you suffer from diminishing returns. And you can see this down here. We're getting 123% elemental damage and 200% corrosion damage. Again, these are technically traps because we're not doing fire damage. When you do burning, fire triggers burning, but burning isn't fire. Stupid, it sounds weird, it's dumb, but... However, there is a benefit to taking Pyro Dominance, and that's down here, where it says at tier 3, double the damage caused by the burning effect and combustion effect. If we can get that one to level 3, then it starts working. The 40% fire and the 80% fire do nothing for us, and the 120 at that. Over here, this one it says weapon damage against enemies affected by shock. We're not doing lightning damage and we're not doing weapon damage, so Electro Dominance does nothing for us. So we'll take the Pyro Dominance on the off chance that we end up on the tier 3 of it, but for the most part, that's probably a dead ascension. Hi, Elite. Extra choices and refreshes. That's pretty good. Hi, Elites. Oh! Excuse me. Do I have airbag? Why is my health at 1? Oh, you're already dead? Yeet! Hell, a lightning. Why am I looking at weapons? There's no reason for it. I got my Storm Chaser out. We're moving, we're grooving. Alright, please give me another general energy for completing this room. That'd be so nice of you. Oh, you're still alive? Oh, you are like just out of range of that. Hold on. There we go. You just had to get up on that spot there. Hello, sir. Alright, you got... No general energy for me. This is our elite gathering room. The elites are gonna gather all the way in the back. We're going to hopefully kill them as they spawn in, otherwise things could get a little bit hairy. Elemental effect chance doesn't matter. More elemental damage, I would take that if we could. However, at this point, I think we need more skill damage. I think we have a lot of elemental damage, so I would have preferred to get something else, but this is better than nothing, and we're not doing primaries and we're not doing weapons, and our capacity is fine. We're fine on that. This guy here, you could point to this and that. Oh, another diagonal 4, though. You could point down here for another 6. Yep. Boom. Oh, that's looking nice. Alright, this is where the elites will spawn in when they do. There's a couple guys over here. Okay, I was wrong. They're over here. Alright. Once more, elites are not affected by manipulation, so they will not fight each other. They will stay focused on you. However, Miasma doing a percentage dot over time, I mean, it does really well for elite. As you can see. Again, sort of another dead situation where we're not going to need rate of fire because we're not shooting our weapon. I guess after casting the shield orb, we can get some shield recharge. Deadly Curse, weapon and skill damage, losing HP. I'm fine with losing HP, that's okay. I am at max capacity. Did I do a vault? I don't remember it. Well, look at that. Smoke grenades last for 1 more second and the damage interval is increased by 20%. That's the more consistent play. Going for this one where we've sunk 2 into it, if I weren't to get that 3rd, I'd feel really bad about not taking this. So I'm going to go with the consistent play on this one. Oh, it's behind the barrels. I knew we didn't do it. Alright, this is either the lizard or the bandit. Alright, when you're doing this, there's, yeah, usually a shock barrel. Ta-da! There we go. Wait a second. Is someone at the door? Or is that you? Interruptions? Okay. Anyway, enemies affected by grenades will deal less damage or take more damage. We also have this one where we get more movement speed after dashes as well as extra damage. I feel like I said earlier, we don't have as many skill damage multipliers, so let's go with that one. Our actual grenade damage and our secondary damage is okay. Obviously, our elemental is looking good, and hey, look at that, capacity overdraft. Now we really don't have to worry about running out of grenades anymore. Oh, as per what I was saying before, not selling everything on the ground. If you look at the gold number up there, as soon as I hit E to enter the next stage... Hi, thank you. You don't have to sell everything on the ground. Look at the gold count up here. If I press E, you'll see it jump up like a frame before the loading bar pops up. Yeah, it went to like 1,100 some. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about selling everything. It'll be done for a double acceleration. Okay. Okay. Reasonable exclusive. We could do that. So for our reasonable exclusive, is there anything we would not want to lose? I do have a couple of these oneers that I would hate to lose over here. Really a lot of them I would hate to lose. So why don't we hold off on that for a bit? There we go. And let's just go in and do our boss fight. Again, I just chuck a grenade in ahead of me. Oh, that was really short. This is probably the more annoying of the two boss fights to do at this point. This guy, yeah, we got so many invulnerability phases that we have to deal with. Alright, he should be back about here. This sort of build isn't going to like instant kill bosses like the last one that we did. This one is going to be more sustained damage. It's really good at clearing. And even the elites, as you saw, weren't that bad. But since we're not like spiking down bosses and they're not affected by manipulation and all of that, it could be a little bit more annoying. But as long as we keep our head on a swivel and we keep moving around, we'll be okay. Keep the tornadoes going into the sand traps, I guess? If you didn't know, that might be something I should point out. Whenever it summons a tornado, you can see on the mini-map, it's a red diamond. And all of the sand traps are orange diamonds. And all you have to do is lead it into it. Mistaken delivery? Oh, it's Big Eater? I can live with that. Well. More damage to enemies. Energy storage? That isn't a big deal. Alright, Elemental Expert. This one can be useful. This one says Explosion Elemental Effect plus 10%. Manipulation Elemental causes target to take 10% increased damage, and Miasma triggers more frequently. This is definitely something you want on a build like this. We're kind of in a really weird situation with our energy. We got like these diagonal ones all over the place right now. It's gonna be hard to find something that really fits the situation we're in. I'd be looking for like a 4V if we could. But let's just roll on that. And roll on that. No, we didn't end up with it. Okay, in that case then, I'll take this guy. We can throw you here. We got a 4 and a 4. I can put you in here for some more damage. Actually, let's empty this out and just have the game redo it for us and see what we can end up with. So take note, there is a +4 here, and it for some reason socketed 2s down there. I don't care for that. This one's pretty nice, but I would rather this be my 10. Yeah, this one pointing up there. Is there something else we could do with you? Why don't you go here? And then we can get an 8 like that. That's pretty good. 10, you're being useful. Yeah, that seems pretty good to me. What did we miss out on? This one's low. The elemental damage. Oh, we already have one of the elemental damages maxed out. Fantastic. And our capacity continues to not be fully up there, but whatever. We have 37 max grenades right now, so I think we'll be okay. This is one that I don't want, but even though I'm not going to use the bloody ammo, the enemies will also be taking the negative effect of it. So giving the enemies that doesn't hurt. Flame Shard. Damage is converted to fire and minus fire. That kinda sucks. I feel like the miasma gets around that, but I feel like, again, we're just gonna take something else and not get the benefit ourselves. After dealing damage, a player's coin amount by -7 to +3. Yeah. Okay, Paranormality is one that I'm fine with. We could take that. And then Bluff goes fantastic with it. Okay. So I hate Lucky Roulette. I feel like unless you have extravagant consumption, it's just not good. Elemental Maestro. Elemental damage won't get affected by the defense type, plus 60% damage to enemies in 2 types of elemental effect, plus 90% to damage to enemies in 3 types of elemental effect. There you go. That's pretty much, I don't know if you could have asked for a better setup on this. Here I was thinking that I would get something else like that, but we'll take it. Alright. Oh, an elite? Stand still for me? Okay, don't be affected by it, that's fine. I didn't want you to anyway. Now, I don't know about the free floating coins. I think the free floating coins you actually have to walk around and pick up. If somebody out there knows, then go ahead and fill us in, give us the deets. Also, if you're at this point in the video and you've been watching along, I just got a bunch of pancakes, and the last time I asked about pancake syrup, so I feel like that video has manifested pancakes here for me. So why don't we try manifesting something else? If you are getting a burger, what kind of toppings do you want on your burger? But don't mention anything about a burger or what this question is or why you're answering it. Just put in your favorite burger toppings down there. Me personally, I like to have some grilled onions, jalapenos, barbecue sauce, pickles, Western burger. Oh, if you can get those like little something crunchy on there, like maybe like, oh, if the pickles were fried or if the onions were like onion rings instead, that is the best. That's a burger. That's a burger. And lettuce too, just to have it be a little fresh, you know? Everything I said there was very fatty and fried, so it'd be nice to have a little veg in there. Tomato never hurt anyone, but I feel like the jalapenos do a lot of heavy lifting. Alright, in this room, enemies love to spawn in the back, so just throw your grenades on the back lines and let everyone spawn in and die. Alright, you stand there and think about what you've done. Beesh. And problem solved. There we go. And much like how we started out the video, if any of you have recommendations for a character you want me to do on reincarnation level 10, or if there's like a certain gun you want me to try to build towards or something like that, go ahead and throw that in the comments. I'll try to do one of these as often as I can. I don't want to make promises because there's so many projects I've got going on. But I love playing this game, and if people are learning how to play it because of me, more than happy to help with that. The game does have pretty garbage translations. And on top of that, a lot of roguelikes are already pretty hard to penetrate, let's say. Because learning everything that needs to go into winning a run with a roguelike usually requires putting dozens of hours into a game. And oftentimes failing or experimenting with something and then feeling like ass when it doesn't work. Alright, let's go. I mean, I've been playing Mugenics a lot recently, and I love the game. But you know, there's sometimes where when you're playing a new roguelike, you're like, hey, I wonder what happens when I do this with this. And you invest into something only for it to not work. And then, you know, your run kind of dies because of it. It doesn't feel great, but that's part of the process of playing a roguelike that I like. The learning, experimentation, trying to find the busted stuff. Especially if it's repeatable. It's one thing when you learn that something's broken in a roguelike, but then there's no way to really, like, translate that from run to run. There's a guy right above me. And there you go. YOLO! Replace inscriptions? Now refresh me. We have paranormality, so this doesn't matter anymore? Crit doesn't matter anymore? Movement speed matters. There, we can take movement speed. I don't know if I've ever talked about that either, but some of you probably would have looked at that and been like, alright, well, there was like a legendary crit upgrade. It's legendary, I should take it. But like, I'm not using my weapon at all. And on top of that, getting that to trigger would require me to land crits, which means giving up doing my skill. And I don't want to stop throwing grenades everywhere. It's the primary way I'm dealing with enemies. So taking any of the weapon-related challenges there would have been a total trap. I would have been putting myself in a complete terrible situation. Oh yeah, Armed Caster is the blessing I said I was going to take, and then we ended up with Elemental Maestro. I was going to say, plus if I fail the crit challenge and I end up with Armed Caster, I'd be kicking myself for taking it, because I'd be losing out on crit. But that doesn't matter because we got Elemental Maestro. Give me that. Reroll inscriptions? Nah. See, this is what I mean. Like, there's so many peculiar chess generated things that deal with weapons only. Outside of increasing your max HP or shield, there's not a whole lot that can affect anything else. Alright, we got... I have 44 grenades right now. I'm just gonna come up here to where enemies are spawning, and we're just gonna cover all of these choke points. Throw one here, throw one here, throw one there, throw one there. Throw one here, throw one here, throw one there, throw one there. Yeah, they're not even getting out. Alright, throw one here, throw one here, throw one there, throw one there. How are you not being affected? And we did it! See how difficult that was? See how challenging it is? Hopefully that's not coming off as belittling to anyone that's struggling in the game. I just know where the enemies are gonna spawn, so I can drop down my grenades on it. Clearly, in your path of mastery of this game, you are going to have a bit more of a struggle with this than I am. This is just showcasing the capabilities when you do have the knowledge to go with your execution. Now that we are set on like all the capacity for my secondary, I can't just walk through the level, throwing them down at my feet. And everything's getting manipulated. No one's even trying to kill me right now. My big eater bonus over there is just gonna keep getting bigger and bigger because we're never taking damage. Alright, we've got a general rune there. What are we looking for here? When using secondary skill, chance to cast multiple times, the cost equal to additionary skill uses. We don't really need that. I don't want to have the trigger. The way the Princess Grenade works is that you put down the zone and then it ticks like once every second for 5 seconds, and then there's modifiers that get it to tick even faster. We don't really need to have the grenades tick multiple times. They're already doing that. So that's kind of unnecessary. Skill damage for 6 seconds per secondary skill damage dealt. Now that one could be good for us because again, we're ticking constantly. So we could build up stacks of that relatively quickly. So we could take that one. And then another 4, but this one's pointing straight, and we've kind of dug ourselves into a diagonal situation. We're kind of locked in on the diags. So I can put you in here. Bada boom. Is there something else I would rather get to 6 than this? We are a little relaxed on skill damage versus elemental stuff. So why don't I just bump you up? Oh, I still have 2 more points because I took them out. How could I forget? Would I rather get this up all the way for each fully activated rune? We got a couple over here. I could just bump this one. Yeah, let's just bump that up. Let's just give him a bump. And then I bumped again, then I bumped again. I said, how do I get back there to the place where I fell asleep inside you? How do I get myself back to the place where you said I want something else to get me through this semi-charm kind of life? The most upbeat, depressing song ever to be sung. I'm not 100% on that, but boy oh boy is that a depressing song for how upbeat it is. Hey, what are you doing? I don't know why I was suddenly overcame with the desire to saw that boy down, but it was not his lucky day. Weapon damage? A golden goblet refresh could be nice. We could take that. We are about to go into Act 4, and Act 4 has only the single choice goblets on it, so... Oh look, I passed the test. Elites? Pardon me, I gotta get back to the back line with these elites here. Yeah, for that guy specifically. Pretty much all tactics and strategy have gone out the window. This is now just throw grenades everywhere. So this guy has paranormality. You can see he got that bonus there. If you're wondering why he's not taking a lot of damage, it's because all of his health is in shield. And you can see the combustion is constantly stunning him. He's not allowed to do anything because he's just getting stunned over and over and over again. Just completely stun locked. And there, see, as soon as the shield was down, he's dead. If you are using the Bloody Drill and you're running Interdependent Fortunes as your Bizarre Dream modifier, seeing that is incredible because the Bloody Drill does bleed damage and that goes straight to HP. So anyone that has the Paranormality modifier on them just instantly dies to a Bloody Drill shot. That also goes for the modifier, just the regular enhanced modifier for Armored. Armored does the same thing. Alright, once again, we're just diving straight into the back line where everything spawns here. This is our elite gathering room. They're gonna all start spawning up here, I think. Yeah, there we go. We're just gonna keep throwing this down here. Hey, Lobster, over there? How rude of you. Just run in a circle. Notice I'm constantly moving, but I'm not being like frantic about it. We're not really in like a dire situation. We're just moving. The Storm Chaser helps out a lot with that. Okay, well. I guess I could be a little bit more frantic about it. The game wants me to. Did I already do my stone tablet guy? I think we did. I think we did that earlier in this stage. Choo! And I haven't even been running with my artillery sash out. This fight could be a little annoying with this setup because you can't directly hit them with the grenade. You can throw the grenades out in the water. That part does work. It's just a little annoying how you have to do it. Again, throw the grenade, put the animation, or throw that out there. See, it still hits, but the whole time they're down in the water, it's not doing anything. We're just gonna throw it around. We got 40 some. We can afford to just take our time. He's constantly ticking down. Oh, I jumped early. Almost got juggled by that. Alright, do your big thing. Don't panic. Just dash. On the first wave of that attack, if you can get between two of the heads, the next one's definitely gonna come exactly where you're standing. So all you have to do is just dash to the left or right, and you'll dodge it every time. It's like a big panic thing, like here, look. And now I just dash to the left, and we're good. No big deal. Definitely makes you want to panic the first time it happens, but... Deflection shield? This one's iffy. I'm gonna say no to it, because if we get the polar bear as our final boss, it's very hard not to get hit in melee by him. Alright, give me another generic. What are we even looking for here? Even more elemental damage? I mean, we could go movement speed, but... I think if we could just get more secondary damage specifically, that'd be fine. Probably something with a max 6 on it. If anything, we could take another capacity up. Or the Elemental Expert. We can get another Elemental Expert because that doesn't do specifically elemental damage. It says Explosion Elemental Effect damage. So that's separate from our Elemental Effect. The Manipulation Elemental Effect triggers more often. Oh, no, they take more damage. And then Miasma triggers more frequently. So getting another one of those in there wouldn't be too bad. But now we're running out. We are out of space. A double 4... Roll me again. We're going to be looking to replace something. It's basically where we're at. Like this guy, you're not doing that much for us, whereas you in that same spot would do quite a bit. So you could go down here, and for now, we can put you there. And then put you here, and since you're at 10, we could do that. You're now a 9. I guess we don't really need you, but it doesn't hurt to have this one over maxed. We can put you here, take you off. That gives us 4 to play with, and you're going down as well. In an earlier round. I have this one spot that has nothing on it. And if I move you... Wait. If I do this... Eight. 666. Where are we going? I got 2 absolutely blank spots here. And if I put that there, then you're not being useful. Here we go. Don't worry about it. Just turn it off, turn it back on. The classic. You're an 8. You're there. We have 4 points to spend. Do we have anything that's really bad? This is a 3, whereas these are 2s. That's kind of not... It's not cash money. Okay, but here's what we could do. We could replace that, put that there, and now you're a 10. So you could be 10'd up on that. You can get your chicken tendies. You're not doing a whole lot. You're doing absolutely nothing. Get off my team. You're an 8. I feel like our capacity thing can be very low, and we would be fine with that. Okay. And then we got 4 to spend. Like I said, our capacity could be low. Elemental damage. The Corrosion Mastery one. Would I prefer that to be up over this one? I think so. I would rather you be up. Okay, that worked out pretty well. Thank you. Turn it off, turn it back on. Sadly, you've kind of outlived your utility, this guy. Thanks for playing, though. And let's go into Act 4. I feel like this one's going fast enough. We could just go into Act 4 and it's not a big deal. I'll take that. We'll definitely take this for the Elemental Enthusiast. And then I don't want enemies getting Phantom Skin because it'll keep them alive longer. Even though Energized Defense is nice. It can just be really annoying when they get those stacks. But we are ticking constantly. Yeah, let's take it for the Energized Defense. And then Realm of Corrosion's cool. Thank you. I'm not even going to look at him. There's no way I'm switching off of our Spiritual Blessing setup. There's like no way we'll get anything better. Alright, you here? Fight each other for me. Or don't. Just have a heart attack and fall over. And I really hope I really hope that you feel confident in playing a run like this. If I could do it on the hardest level of difficulty, while being relatively calm about it, I think you could too. By the way, if you ever want to do one of these chests and you're at 1 HP, it won't let you do it. And I really want to get this normal scroll and that. So what we're going to do is just come up here to our scrolls and not do anything because I can't drop them. But if I could drop them, I could just drop Paranormality and then I would be able to do it and it would be fine. But again, I couldn't do it because I was hoping that we would hit another peculiar chest that had the more HP and more shield stuff. And instead we just kept getting weapon ones. But it's not a big deal. A normal scroll and some extra money. I mean, right now I'm sitting on 23,000. I still never ended up with riches privileges. Is that a general? Thank you. I'll put that in my pocket. Nyong. Alright, I'm going to try to avoid hitting that barrel so that when the elite spawns in, they get stunned by it. Nope, it didn't happen. So this is a little rough. When you don't stun this guy, this could take a while just because your grenades are very imprecise. So even if you know exactly which one it is, you're going to be hitting the clones and causing them to respawn. There is a little bit of a trick to that fight where you can figure out which is the real one based off of, well, let's get Speedrunner. Based off of two things. One, if you apply an elemental effect to him, and then he does the reclone, the one that's real will have the same elemental effect on him that you had before the clone. So in this case where we've got Painkiller, had we not applied it as a giant AoE that's going to hit the clones as soon as they spawn in anyway. Let's say in a hypothetical situation where that didn't happen, we could have applied elemental effects to him, then when he reclones, you just see which one is still getting ticks of burning or decay or whatever still on them, and shoot that one. The other way to figure it out is that the two clones will try to shoot you at the same time, whereas the real one will shoot offbeat from the other two. So in this case, it's that one. He shot before the other two started to shoot. Sometimes the other two will shoot first. Sometimes the one shoots first. But that's how you're supposed to figure it out. If you're someone that's just been unloading your guns on them in hopes of beating them, that's the trick. We'll use our refresh. And hey, look, we got a benefit out of it. I don't remember if we hit our vault, but I'm just gonna keep moving. I think at this point we've made our point. I think we have shown off just how consistently good this run is. That I can just look at my feet and throw grenades everywhere and go unabated throughout the entire game. I don't know what causes the constant ones to come out of things. Not sure what that is. I'm seeing all these ones constantly spray out of them. Unsure about that. He's stuck in the barrel, the electric barrel. Alright, and then we hit him with the chain. Boom. No goblet for me. No goblet for me. Another way to boost the damage of this run, I could take the Phoenix Roar and do the thing where it marks them, but You know, we've been running around with our beautiful Storm Chaser this whole time, and I would hate to abandon it in its time of need. Oh, everyone's dead out here? Wow. We'll take the luxurious gift box. It takes two. I get the feeling we're not going to see that one follow through for us. Very unlikely. We got a couple more rooms where we could get a scroll drop that would do it, but don't count your chickens, man. I don't think they're hatching. Look at my chickens, bro. They ain't hatching. This is a double cavalry elite invasion just before we do our elite gathering. Elemental Relic? Don't mind if I do. Vindictive Nature. 40% weapon and skill damage for 10 seconds upon taking damage. That's 3 elites in a row that didn't drop a goblet for us. How rude. We didn't take that many dead options as far as our ascensions are concerned for this run. We were pretty lucky as far as that's concerned. The UFOs have a really low hitbox, so that characters like the turtle and the bird that have punching as their secondary can still hit them. So if you're wondering why I just threw a grenade like down here under the UFO, it's because it's still pretty likely to deal damage to it. And all we really need is for like one tick to hit it and start putting the miasma stacks on. I was really hoping that was gonna be the... Oh well. 100% base damage per second after explosion. Cool. Another Storm Chaser? Maintaining accelerate state? Sure. We'll grab that. We should have another stone tablet boy here. The lightning damage one. Well, we do have lightning conversion, so if I do hit with my Storm Chaser at all, I guess that's something useful. We had 3. Cool. A 5er? What are we even gonna do with you? Oh, I could just take this 4 and then doesn't matter. There we go. You're maxed out. And it's like the best you're gonna do. Would we want to replace this elemental damage with anything? I guess we could get rid of the capacity and replace that with this. That's way better. Elemental effect doesn't matter. The echo... No, that doesn't matter. The multiple hits doesn't matter. The expansion, we can make it bigger just for the final fight. Let's not worry about it. We got a good thing going. Hey, Armillary Sash. I'll take you too. Why? I don't know, man. And it was the bear, so I feel justified in not taking that deflection shield. I mean, I could have just dropped it on the ground and sold it here, but whatever. Concurrent cooldown? Yeah, why not, man? Lucky roulette? No. Not even when it doesn't matter. Alright, bear time. This is one where you can't really throw a grenade ahead of time. This fight is probably the hardest in a run like this. As I said, bosses are the biggest problem with the fight here. And we're not gonna oh my god, never mind. We're burning them down like crazy. Elemental decay? Oh. Is there a reason you're permanently invincible? Is, did I break it? Is it broken? Sir? Sir? There you go, thank you. When you're playing on Reincarnation level 10, this is a guaranteed invulnerable phase. Alright, now can you be vulnerable again? Nope, still not vulnerable. There we go. Now I can damage him. Okay, back to the middle. That was very strange. Up, up. Keep going, keep going. Ta-da! Dead bear. Okay. Yeah, I would look at you if I cared, but we're going back to the inn. That is how you do a Painkiller run with the Prince. It is one of the most drop-dead guaranteed ways to get a win in the later difficulties, just because of how much manipulation stops the waves of enemies from ever wanting to fight you. They just spend the whole time fighting each other, and then the miasma kills them, and the combustion interrupts them constantly. It's beautiful, you don't have to do a lot to it, very passive. And if you wanted to go endless, it scales pretty well because, as I said, you get a lot of multipliers with the elemental on top of all the other skill stuff. So hopefully you learned a thing or two. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Make sure to comment down below if you want me to do any other builds or guns or something like that. But until I catch you next time, remember to take care of yourselves and take care of those around you. Bye-bye!